is up, awesome people? I am excited to come to you today with some very awesome news. We have our first ever Rockin' Custom interview with a very special band. I've known these guys for a while, and they have been in my life for a while, and I have seen this from the beginning. So we are honored, and you guys are in for a treat today. And without further ado, Valley's End.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
All right.
How's it going today, guys?
Hey, thanks for the opportunity. This is awesome, Shane.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. So for the three people that don't know you, who is Valley's End?
Oh, man. So I would say we talk a lot of times that we didn't ever set out to be a band. That's our big joke. We're just three friends that minister together at our local church. And in doing a lot of prophetic worship, started getting around and playing songs and realized just through a few places where God spoke that there was something more to it. So we began to worship together, and then from that we started to write songs together.
Very awesome. Well, cool. Let's get this started. What are your influences and what inspires you guys?
I would say, thank you for that question, Shane. I would say for us, as also we're mentors for the younger generation and for teenagers and for kids that are using their gifts. That's so inspiring to see them, see what God's created them to do and to use their gifts. So to see them singing and dancing and acting and doing drama and all that, that inspires me to keep going in the creative arts that the Lord's called us to. So that really greatly inspires me.
That is awesome.
Yeah, and I would say, I mean, with that, even when you think of other leadership influences that would be inspiring, I would say I have one from, you watch somebody like a Bob Goff in the way that he uses the creativity and joy to expand a platform for others. That's been most of what we've been able to do as a band, is actually see younger generations coming under us and create opportunities. And then just personally, if you talk musically, what inspires, I'm a huge Ben Rector fan, so Ben Rector's inspiring. And you like worship stuff.
I love worship stuff. That's all I listen to. Probably Elevation, Bethel. But I would say, like, a big influence in my life, which brought me on this journey of worship, would be my dad. Like, just growing up with him, he played guitar and led worship a lot. So we would just sit in the kitchen almost every night and just sing and worship. And so it really created that passion and love for the Lord.
That's awesome. So with having this worship and Ben Rector, how would you guys describe your band sound? Like, what? No one's ever listened to you guys before. This is the genre. This is what you're going to hear when you listen.
We don't know.
I know.
We're singer-songwriter.
Yeah.
And a vocal band. Yeah.
Some, like, elements of country or rock
Lady
and roll.
A,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like,
I was going to say Lady A plus Jesus.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I think they're
I think
believers
that-
too.
But I would say singer-songwriter, vocal band.
There you go.
Yeah, I think what's unique about us too is that we're not trying to copy any certain group. Like, we just hear the music the Lord's giving us, and we bring it together, and so it's a little bit of him and a little bit of him and a little bit of me, and curate something fresh and new.
Yeah.
How do you guys write songs together? There's three of you. Is there a certain person that writes, or is the creativeness just all around?
So if you look at everything we've written, there's a collaboration between the three of us. And it'll flow different ways. So sometimes Chris will get the beginning of a tune or a hook or like this is it. A few of them have been just whole songs that he's brought. There's times where Ruthie will be spending time worshiping, and she'll come and say, "I've got this chorus." So Ruthie loves writing choruses.
I love it. Sometimes Bridget's
But then,
too.
yeah, of course, it's Bridget, but then sometimes she's like, "Oh my gosh, the verses," and I'm a word person. So for me, what pours out a lot is I never have a shortage of words to share. And then sometimes I'll get on the piano and pound out a melody, but then sometimes it'll all start sounding to alike, and I'll send it to these guys and say, what needs to be changed or different? So there's a lot of, really with any of us, if we're writing a tune, then all three of us come around that tune and help shape it up together, regardless of who got it first. But if you look at all of our songs, the tunes for our songs have come from any one of the three of us. There's not just one person that writes those. And the lyrics have come from any one of the three of us. And so there's only a few songs that we have that would be written all by one person. We have a few of those, each of us do. But most of them have had great collaboration between us together.
And in that collaboration, I think that's what's cool is we feel like the Lord gives us the lyric or the hook or whatever, but we're not so tied to it that we're not willing to change it around and to move it around and to be flexible. And sometimes we felt like this is the chorus and it ended up being the bridge, or, you know, we were thinking like, oh, this actually needs to be the verse rather than the chorus, and this new declaration needs to be. And it's generally something that one of us will hear that's missing in the song. Well, what we're missing is this, and we'll bring it. So that's why I love collaborating with these guys and writing with them.
That's so cool, because with each of y'all having different personalities, but coming together as one, you almost get to see the glory of God coming through each of you, which is turning into this like huge presence that's all at once. And like, I don't know, it's something different. Like, I'm sure each of you have wrote a song yourself, and it probably sounds way different than what you three when you come together. And it's still some weird thing that it's all collaborated, like your personality and then your personality and your personality is all in it, and it's just something cool to see and actually hear. And obviously we have brought up a lot of God is in this. Like, where are you guys' belief? What is your guys' theme when it comes to write a song? Is God the main thing you want to convey? What is that for you guys?
So we spent a long time trying to discern what kind of songs, because you have, right, there's not a split between sacred and secular. There's so much that is sacred, so there's only sacred and profane. And so I believe any person doesn't have any business writing about what's profane. But all of creation is screaming God's glory. So there are all kinds of great songs that are just bringing joy and bringing hope. What we realized when we came together was we wanted to write anthems of praise. We wanted to write corporate worship declarations. And there are a few exceptions. There are some songs that we have that are like, hey, this is an anthem, but it's not really something that would be sung in a corporate worship setting. We've written some for foster care and adoption. And so we leave enough space for that. But I feel like the kind of the bread and butter where we go is writing congregational worship.
Okay. That's good stuff.
I agree with that.
Same.
Ditto. Are there any challenges you faced as a band, and how did you overcome them?
That's a great
I
question.
feel like what you just saw was...
My lack of focus at times.
No, I mean, so we are like closest of friends and have such deep respect for each other. So if we're trying to give in, how many years has it been now?
20?
5 years?
7.
6 years? Somewhere. A number of years.
6.
I mean, if you had to talk about, there are difficult things that we've all walked through together. So, like, for instance, some of the health struggles that Ruth has been walking through, that's breaking all of our hearts. That would be a challenge of adversity that's not us against each other, that's us together. We live in a broken world. There have been a lot of those in 6 years. But if you had to say creative differences, we have had to walk through those. We could honestly count them on one hand.
I only remember the one.
We have one that we joke about. So when we were going to record our first album, Ruth had great vision of a producer in Nashville that she had heard would talk with us, and his whole vision was to help curate the sound, which is awesome. And so his name, Andrew Osinga, like incredible, has become a friend. And then we went through the recording process, and for some of that we went up to Nashville, but for a lot of it we were here. And so we were here at the church one day listening to these tracks, and I don't think we knew how emotional it was. That it was a lot of pouring in and hearing for the first time these professional musicians, and it was all good news, but it's like, here's Michael W. Smith's drummer and Stephen Curtis Chapman's bass player, and you're listening in real time to what they have. And so we were at a day doing that. I believe we were part of that session.
Making plans.
And we were just all on edge. So I remember that day I'd been super negative about everything. That it was like, this is never going to take and nothing's going to happen. And so every time they would come with anything, I was like, no, it's just not. And then, I think Chris was a little frustrated. And then in the middle of it, I had this coffee cup that you'd gone through the dishwasher too many times, and the paint had started chipping. Well, when I get to the place where I'm unsettled, I fidget. So I just start scratching on this coffee cup, peeling away the paint with my thumb, and it was the only time where I thought Ruth might kill us. Me specifically. But I think that would be the...
Yeah.
And she's bought me a coffee cup, I think, every Christmas since then. So
I just want to ensure it never comes back. I want peace between us.
it worked.
Yeah.
It worked. It's smart.
Yeah.
But I love that. Would you stop scratching
Please
that
stop.
coffee cup? But yeah, I think the respect between us is helpful. We're all, like you said, we have different personalities than each other. And so I feel like, that is just, it's like experience emotional things together. Like you said, it was an emotional season and we're tired and we've given a lot. And then it's just like, okay, if you're tired and you're hangry, that's gonna affect your relationship. So I feel like those have been the times I feel like we're overwhelmed or we're just like not hearing each other. And I remember times where we've had that and like we're just not, it's not right now. Let's just clear the atmosphere. So I remember a couple times where we just said, okay, let's just ask the Holy Spirit just to come and just clear up all this and change the atmosphere. Yeah. And so that's been really cool.
Yeah, and I think we've created a good culture of honor too, where if something happens or there's, like, I know their heart for me, so I'm never easily offended by them. So if something is like a different way than I thought it was going to be, instead of harboring that, I'll go to them and say, hey, this is not what I imagined was going to happen. And so just having that communication instead of just getting offended really easily is really helped us, because we just know we love each other. So just talk about it.
Can you guys share just projects you guys have done in the past, or any upcoming projects you want to share with the people?
The big one was the Nashville one, where we were able to go up to Nashville, and that was an experience in and of itself. And that project was wild.
Real quick, why don't you guys talk about that? Because I'm sure you have a different outlook on it, and not everyone gets to go to Nashville to record with.
Yeah, well, so the way that it all came about, Ruthie had done a solo project and had been in some talk with an agent from Centricity, I think it was, and they were going to have a further talk with her, and she came and said, I would much rather them have a talk with us. So that was how we met Andrew Osinga, and Ruthie was really the one with vision to push and say, I think we can do this. So it got to the place of doing a Kickstarter, which was wild, and raising the funds. And then we got to go up to the historic Art House Studios in Nashville, where Switchfoot and the Civil Wars and others have recorded. It's Charlie Peacock's studio, and that was crazy. Yeah. The one that stands out to me was Andrew was talking to us one day about, like, what musicians did you want? He's telling us all these crazy things, like, you know, Claire Nunn, who is David Crowder's cello player, is coming. We're like, this is what? And so we had a song that had a harmonica part in it. We're like, you know, who would you like? And so Chris, growing up, kind of Southern gospel area, he's just being funny. And he's like, I think Buddy Green, who played with the Gaithers. And Buddy Green is, like, from a Christian world, the most famous, you know, harmonica player, like, you know, played Radio City Music Hall and all these things. So he just says that, like, ha, 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 like Chris does. And Andrew stops and he says, yeah, I know, Buddy. I'll see what I can do. And it was like we got a call a little bit after that.
Yeah, it was like a text like 20 minutes after we had left the studio. It's like, Buddy Green will be here at 9 a.m. And I was just like, what? I was like, that was crazy.
He almost made me swerve the car off the road. Yeah.
So on a recording Sing, that's Buddy Green playing harmonica.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Did you guys get to meet Buddy Green?
We did. Oh. And it was cool to have him and some of the other musicians come in and actually just naturally, like, I remember Buddy standing in and he listened for a while and he's like, you guys wrote this song? And we're like, yeah. And he said, I like it. It's a nice song. And I was like, okay, that's a good
Buddy Green song. Yeah, and having Claire play the cello.
Oh my gosh.
And just her just being creative and playing the tracks for her, and her just playing the cello so majestically. We're both on the other side of the glass, just weeping and crying, just like, oh my gosh, it's bringing such beauty to this. So it's pretty cool. One thing that was surprising was really crazy for me was when we went up to Nashville the first day. We went in the studio. I was a little nervous because I've never kind of had that experience. And Andrew said, all right, go out, guys, go do your vocal warm-ups, and then we'll start. And I, like that, you know that movie thing where the camera just focuses on you and it comes in like this? I was like that. And I was like, I have never done a vocal warm-up before. And so I was super nervous. And they know what they're doing. So they start going, okay, well, should we start here? Like, Well, at first I said, you want to lead us? And I'm like, no. You guys do you guys do yours.
I don't know if I know the Nashville
You guys
method.
do your style. Yeah. And then so they start let's do that method. And they named it. And I was like, okay. And they're like, oh. And I'm like, okay. And they look at me like, oh. I'm like, and I'm trying to fake it. And I just like...
It's just coming out now, actually.
I'm just...
I don't know if you ever told us.
I was so nervous, and I was just like, I've never done this before, and these guys have done this, and they know. So it was cool, because I get to do a vocal warm-up.
And the next day, you did lead us in vocal
did.
warm-ups in different voices.
Oh my goodness.
I did.
Andrew said he had never seen that before.
Yeah. So, yeah, we just had, like, Bryan Adams vocal warm. Yay! Whoa! Yay! Whoa! Yay! Yeah, go ahead and do that, and then the Aaron Neville version. So anyway, that was the first time for me, but very vulnerable and very like, I don't know what I'm doing. And it was really cool just because that was part of the experience.
I think that was all of our experience. At one point, we're like, we don't know what we're doing because it's a very vulnerable place to be in the recording studio and have someone actually like nitpicking every part of your voice. And we went, you know, you're a little pitchy here, and you're like, I am not. Like you want to get defensive. You're like, I am not pitchy, but this little computer is saying you are. And you're like, okay.
Yeah. Or do this vocal part 8 times, and like, nah, let's keep trying. Like, nah, you can do better. You can do better. I'm like, oh.
You can beat that line, right?
When are we going to keep one that's like good? But
well, I remember
that was part of it.
2 things in particular about that. So Andrew Osinga, who is like just a treasure. The reason Valley's Inn has the sound curated that we do is in great thanks to Andrew. So he came, like his creativity, and he's such a servant leader. So a lot of the tracks he's playing, but such an encourager. So I had one that, you know, Chris sings like a crooner, Ruthie sings like a diva, and I sing like a growler at times, right? Like I'm just going to come with anthems. And so my voice can have a lot of frailty in it, especially in the mornings. So we would get to the studio and both of them were ready to go. And I'm like, it was just so intimidating. Well, it's very similar to Andrew's voice. So there was a day where we're in the studio and I'm just getting overwhelmed. The enemy's trying to get in my head. And he just stopped everything. He said, you belong in this room. Now let me tell you what it's like when I go in the studio. And he basically explains exactly where I'm at and says, this is normal. This is what I have to go through all the time. And it was just that point. He looked, he said, listen, I wouldn't have taken a chance with you guys if I didn't believe in what you have. And that was one of those that lifted it. So for us, I think that the collaboration of the whole body of Christ coming together has been huge.
That's awesome. So any upcoming projects? What are you guys working on?
So many. We have a lot.
Wow.
Yeah.
So we have, since COVID, we've been releasing singles that has really worked much better because we noticed when you release a batch of songs all at one time, it's almost a mental overload for people that like your music. They're getting 10 songs. So a lot of artists have started doing one at a time. That's what we've done and have loved that. So we actually have a few backlogged right now. We have a few songs that we play all the time that we love, that people who love our music love, that we have parts worked out. And it's just a matter.
What advice would you give aspiring musicians looking to start a band?
Wow.
That's a great question.
Do it.
I think one of the things that we have learned is we kept our band very small intentionally. So we have a number of like just really dear friends that have played with us in a lot of shows and would be unofficial members of the band. You're one. Yeah. And that has been amazing because it allows a lot of us being able to share there. But there are some times where just the 3 of us need to go or to make decisions about where we're going. And that's hard to do if you have a band of 11 people or a lot of turnover or people at different levels of commitment. So my advice would be to really hear clearly from the Lord, what has he given you to do? Who do you know is in? And then once we had that, it really, you know, you asked the question earlier about what songs do we write. That took some time to discover because of all those songs I told you, I write all of those kinds of songs. Ruthie was really the one that came and said, hey, most of what I'm feeling the passion toward is congregational. And then we looked at where the Lord placed us. We're like, that's it. That's what Valley's Inn needs to be writing. So I think just honing in on who needs to be in the band and what is your specific lane. What is it that you have to give that's good news?
Yeah, and not to compare yourself because comparison is the thief of joy. So I feel like, oh, we're not this or we don't have that. And I feel like we struggled with that a little bit. Well, we're not this and we're not this. But instead of defining yourself on what you're not, saying, this is my niche, this is what the Lord's called me to do. So let's focus on who we are and not who we're not. So I think that'd be advice.
I think, too, once like you get to that place, you know who you're with, like sitting down and setting goals and just mapping out where you hope to be or how many songs you want to write. Like, that's really been helpful to us. When we do that, we're definitely more effective, or like how many times we want to get out and play, or how many songs we want to write for this quarter or semester, however it is. But and then just that remembering it takes time to build trust. So just going in with open hearts as you begin the songwriting process or you begin playing together and just listening to each other. Not trying to be the leader, I would say. We don't have like I think we all lead.
Correct.
And we interact together. We talk together about what we're going to do. We don't most of the time make decisions without everybody knowing. we don't try to pull two-thirds.
We don't ever try to.
Sometimes it happens.
Yeah, sometimes we set up interviews and the one person doesn't know about it. So that's no.
That never happened. Yeah, so that would be what I would say. It's just it takes time. It probably took us a good year to build really good trust with one another.
Yes.
They had good trust, but I was kind of a newbie coming in, I would say, and had to learn to trust them. I think they
and to keep us from killing each other, which good job.
True.
Yeah, one of the other things we heard that was really cool was we heard that Lady A actually regularly meets together with a counselor, like they have somebody between, and so we didn't feel like we needed to get a counselor, but that helped to go, oh, here's this band that has longevity, because they're assuming that things are going to be misunderstood, feelings are going to get hurt, and so when we had that talk and said, oh, we need to be real intentional about just open conversation, communication, and goals, and I think for us, determining, okay, the band is the three of us. We don't make any decisions that the three of us don't agree with. Mm-hmm. That's, Ruthie's point, that there's not a leader. It's the three of us. We're a vocal band. That helped us a lot, because then when something's not clear for one of us, it's not clear, and we'll stop and talk it out until we have it right.
Okay. That's awesome. Thank you guys for that. All right. Well, I do thank you guys for coming on. It has been an honor. Is there anything that wasn't asked of you that came to mind when you said that you guys were going to sit down in an interview that we haven't covered today that you would just like to share with people, or any other advice or anything that comes to mind that you would like to leave on the table before we leave?
Chris wanted an opportunity to show his dance with magic tricks. Yeah. So I don't know if we have another 37 minutes. No.
Well, thank you once again for being the first ever Rockin' Custom interview. There'll be many more, and I'm sure you guys will hear more songs than just this one we're about to play here in a minute. Where can the people reach you?
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
We have Facebook and Instagram. Where can they reach us? We're here a lot.
Just call us.
I'll be here in this studio for another 30 minutes.
Call us.
No, we have a Facebook page, Valley's End.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, and also Instagram is at Valley's End Music, I think.
And then we're on all the streaming platforms, so Spotify, iTunes.
Yep.
Awesome. Thank you
Find
guys
us.
once again.
Find us.
Or he'll find you.